So you have written all the unit tests, but overall, what percentage of code that you have written is actually getting executed through your unit tests? In large scale applications, without having some kind of a tool to measure code coverage, it will become very difficult to manage. And one such tool that is very commonly used in Android is Jacoco. So in this video, you will basically learn what is Jacoco, what does that particular report look like, how to configure the Jacoco tool so that you can generate this particular report. So let us get started by looking at what a sample code coverage report from Jacoco actually looks like.
Folks, CodeTutor here, and my name is Anil Deshpande.
As you can see here, these are two different reports. One is from one application where it shows that how many tests have been written. In this case, it is around 164 unit test cases. How many test cases have failed, how many have been ignored, how much time it took to basically run the test, and then it basically shows how much has been successful. In this case, it shows that it is 100%. And down you can see a very similar one where package wise, what is the code coverage, test coverage that it is seeing. 97% in one package, 100% in another package, and there is also a database package which has almost 0% code coverage. So without much further ado, let's get into a code and configure the Jacoco in the Gradle and see how it actually looks. So this is one of the application that you should be already familiar with. Even if you are not familiar with it, shouldn't really matter. This is our main code application, and here we have written our unit tests. We have done it as a part of our series. Now what I want to do is I want to check how much has been covered as a part of this particular code coverage. So let me first open the build Gradle file and let me go to the top. The first thing that you will have to do is add the Jacoco plugin, and that looks like ID Jacoco. This basically enables the Jacoco plugin for the project, which provides the code coverage capabilities. And then you need to come down under the build types. You will have to add one more configuration which looks like this, that is debug test coverage enabled false. You need to disable the test code coverage because by default Android also has test code coverage. That should not conflict with the code coverage report that Jacoco is trying to create or generate. So to avoid that particular conflict, this particular configuration is required. Now let's come further down. After the dependency declaration, we can add the which particular version of the Jacoco that we want to use. In this case, we are using 0.8.8. Depending upon when you are looking at this particular video, the version might actually change. So just check that which is the latest Jacoco version that is available in the community and use that. And then you will have to create a custom task to generate the coverage report. Let me just copy paste that particular code in one single go, and then I will explain you what different parts actually mean. So this is what that particular configuration looks like. You can see here what it basically does is we are creating a task. The name of the task is Jacoco test report. It depends upon test debug unit tests. Then comes another configuration which is reports. What this basically is telling is what kind of report format you need. So in this case, I need XML format, CSV format, false, I don't need, HTML, yes, I need, and where you want this particular Jacoco report to be present. So this is the folder in which the report will be put. And then file filter. We are creating a array of all the classes that need to be excluded from the report, because we don't want to include all the things, all the libraries, all the frameworks that you might have included, and also certain classes that are getting generated. So those things need not be part of the code coverage report. So this file filter basically gives that information to the Jacoco tool. And then you tell the Jacoco where it can find various folders and files on which the code coverage needs to be done. And then we are setting source directory is main source, that is this particular folder structure, and then debug tree information, including where it will find the .executable file that is needed to actually generate this particular Jacoco report. With this, the configuration is done. So let me just sync now. Let me open the terminal, and to actually run the report, you will have to write ./gradlew space Jacoco test report and hit enter, and you can see that it starts basically executing all the unit tests, and once it is done, the report will be created in the folder structure that we have given in the task. Let me slightly pull it up. So yeah, all the unit tests are done. Now we will have to go and find out the Jacoco report. That will be there in the build folder. So let me change it to project. Here build reports, and here is the HTML file. This is what the report actually looks like. And you can go to the individual package and individual tests and see what each unit test that you had created, what is the code coverage of each of those classes. Some of you might be wondering, how does this actually work? Let me try to simplify this. Think of your code like blueprint of museum room. There are rooms, there are doors through which you can enter and exit. If I try to give an analogy of room to a code, all your functions, classes, if and else branches, switches, they are all different blocks of code. And what you are basically trying to check is every part of the code being reached during the execution time. You are in a way trying to see that whether the person is visiting all the parts of the museum rooms so that nothing is left out. That's what you are trying to measure when you say that you are trying to measure the code coverage. Now, how does Jacoco goes about it? What it does is it instruments your bytecode so that it can understand where the execution is going. Think of it like each door has a sensor, and every time the person enters that particular block of code or room, it basically recognizes that part of the code got executed or not. And this metadata of execution pattern is what actually getting represented as a Jacoco report or code coverage report. With that, we now basically end the fundamentals of unit testing series that had been going on for quite some time. With these fundamentals, you can now build on to more advanced levels of unit testing and write pretty good unit tests. So that's it. In the next video, we will meet with a new topic. That brings us to the end of this particular video. Don't forget to like, comment, share the video and subscribe to the channel. Take care. Bye.